I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, 40M, sitting in my living room with my three daughters, 15, 13, and 11, completely blindsided and broken. My wife of 16 years, 39F, my high school sweetheart, the person I've been with for 22 years, has basically ghosted us. 3 days ago, everything seemed normal. She came home from work like usual. She was supposed to work the next day. But instead of dinner, small talk, or anything remotely routine, she suddenly started frantically packing an overnight bag. My oldest daughter happened to be home and watched the whole thing unfold, her mom crying, panicking, throwing clothes together, and ignoring every attempt to talk. She wouldn't say what was going on. Just tears. Just silence. And then she walked out the door. That was the last time any of us saw or heard from her. Since then, the girls and I have been reaching out, texts, calls, nothing. Total silence. Out of desperation, I reached out to her parents. They told me, she's safe with us. Please be patient and understanding. That's it. No details. Just this vague request to wait. I called her brother, he claimed he didn't know anything. I called her sister. Same story. I even reached out to a close friend of hers from work, and she told me my wife was there that morning, but she left by lunch and never came back. So here I am. 3 days later. No contact from my wife. No explanation. Nothing for me, nothing for our kids. And let me tell you, sitting here in limbo with 3 daughters who keep asking, Dad, what's going on? Did you and Mom have a big fight? Are you getting divorced? It's soul-crushing. I have to look them in the eyes and say, no, honey. We didn't fight. She's just at Grandma and Grandpa's right now. We just need to be patient. But inside, I'm screaming. Because we don't fight. The kids know that. Divorce has never been on the table. I feel like I'm going crazy. I've had the overwhelming urge to just pack up the girls, get in a car, and drive the 3 hours to her parents' house to demand answers. But something keeps holding me back. Maybe it's fear of what I'll actually find out, maybe it's just me clinging to the hope that there's some logical explanation. But here's the thing, nothing about this feels logical. If it were some sort of trauma, wouldn't your spouse be the first person you'd turn to? If someone had died, wouldn't her family have told me by now? Why am I, her husband of 16 years, the father of her kids, being left completely in the dark while everyone else seems to be in on something? It's eating me alive. I can't sleep. My brain runs in circles. I'm angry, scared, sad, confused, every emotion at once. And then last night, it all came crashing down. I couldn't take it anymore, so I called the police and asked for a wellness check. That set off a chain of events I'm not even ready to fully get into yet, but here's the bottom line, my wife has been having an affair. Not just recently. For at least 2 years. Maybe longer. The man she was with had a heart attack on Tuesday and died that same night. And my wife? She ran to her parents. They knew. Probably her sister too. And they've been covering for her. Meanwhile, she still hasn't said one word to me. Not one text. Not one call. Not even to the kids. I can't even describe what this feels like. My wife wasn't just my partner, she was my everything. My best friend since high school. The mother of my daughters. The person I built my entire adult life with. We had inside jokes, secret handshakes, stupid traditions only we got. And now, all of it feels like it meant nothing to her. I feel gutted. I don't know how to tell my daughters. I don't know how to move forward. I just know that the life I thought I had is gone, and I'm left picking up the pieces. If you're the praying type, please keep me and my girls in yours. We need it. I thought I'd finally found a rhythm. After the shock of D-Day, after the police check, after learning my wife had been in a years-long affair, the girls and I started to settle into a routine. It wasn't perfect, but at least it was predictable. For a minute there, I thought maybe I could start breathing again. That's when I decided to draw a line in the sand. I told myself, and eventually told her, that the only way she could come back home was if she sat down with me, face to face, looked me in the eyes, and told me everything. Start to finish. No lies, no half-truths, no excuses. And then, after that, she'd have to sit down with our girls and apologize to them too. Answer their questions honestly, because they already know more than I ever wanted them to. Was that an impossible demand? Probably. But it was the only thing that made sense to me. Legally, she has the right to come home whenever she wants. I can't stop her. I just wanted to delay it, to buy myself some time to breathe, to plan, to find some kind of emotional footing before I had to live under the same roof with her again. There's a 90-day waiting period for divorce in our state anyway, so I knew this wasn't going to be quick. I was just trying to protect myself and the girls from more chaos. Meanwhile, she's been texting the girls. Constant apologies. Asking about me daily. Telling them she doesn't want a divorce. The weight of what she's done finally seems to be hitting her, or maybe she's just realizing she can't run forever. Either way, the writing is on the wall, she's going to come home sooner rather than later. I asked myself, was I foolish for making that demand? Maybe. Because the truth is, she is coming home, whether I'm ready or not. And then came the fourth update. My wife came home yesterday. After 3 weeks of absence, 3 weeks of me holding our family together with duct tape and prayer, she walked back through that door. In the past, whenever she came home, I'd greet her with a hug, maybe a kiss, just pure instinct. But not this time. The moment she walked in, this heavy, suffocating awkwardness hung between us. She tried to hug me, but I turned away. It was surreal. After she settled in, I asked her, calmly, at first, to tell me everything. That was my one condition. Look me in the eyes and be honest. She repeated the same line she told me on the phone earlier in the week, I'm not ready. It took everything in me not to lose it right then. I took a couple of deep breaths, tried to keep control. And then it slipped. I just blurted out everything I knew, that she'd been having an affair for over 4 years with a coworker, that she ghosted her entire family, that she planned on leaving me for this man who died of a heart attack. And then I told her I wanted a divorce. The look on her face, it was like she didn't even realize how much I already knew. Wide-eyed, frozen, staring at the floor like a kid caught doing something wrong. No tears. No anger. No excuses. Nothing. Just silence. We stood in that kitchen for what felt like 5 minutes in absolute, suffocating silence. I had prepped for every possible reaction, screaming, denial, blaming me, some big emotional breakdown. I'd even taken notes, practiced in the mirror, braced myself for whatever she might throw at me. But not this. Not a complete void. So I kept going. I laid out everything I knew, even some assumptions I'd pieced together, how she met him, her sister's involvement, what went on during COVID, all of it. Still, nothing. She just stared at the floor like she was somewhere else. And I lost it. Not in screaming or swearing, but in breaking down. My anger shifted to sadness. I looked at her and quietly asked, what did I do to push you away? Did you ever love me? Was he worth it? Still nothing. No tears. No apology. No words. Just the floor. And that broke me in a way D-Day didn't. Because in that moment, it hit me, I wasn't worth fighting for. Not even worth an explanation. Then it got worse. I didn't realize our daughters had been listening the whole time. My oldest came storming down the stairs, furious, yelling, letting out all this pent-up anger. My wife bolted upstairs, locked herself in the bedroom, and that's where she's been since. I heard her crying last night until I fell asleep. Our youngest tried talking to her, but the other two haven't said a word. The whole house is suffocating in silence and avoidance. I keep replaying it in my head. I was convinced she'd come home and fall apart, beg forgiveness, admit everything to unburden herself. This is a woman who once drove back to a farmer's market because they accidentally gave her $1 too much in change. That's how much her conscience weighed on her. But apparently we, weren't worth that honesty. Maybe never were. Now I don't know what to do. Today was unbearable in this house, and I don't know how to make it through 3 more months until the divorce can go through. I want to ask her to stay with her sister until then, but it's her home too, and that complicates everything. I just know that pretending we can coexist, as usual, isn't possible anymore. I wish I could fast forward through this part, the cohabitation, the fights, the kids stuck in the middle. I've been reading stories here about how it gets better, but right now, I feel like I'm a million miles from that. For now, I'm just trying to keep a stable mind for my daughters, but every day feels like I'm about to crack. If you've had to live under the same roof with a cheating spouse while going through divorce, how did you manage? Especially with kids. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me through this. I don't know if the worst is still ahead of me or if I've already hit it, but either way, I could use all the guidance I can get. Every time I think I've got a grip on this situation, I slip. I'd been holding strong, polite, respectful, distant. I thought I was doing pretty well considering the hell I've been living in. But tonight, I broke. The last couple of Fridays, my wife has come home, grabbed some things, and bolted to her sister's place before I even got home from work. That routine worked for me, the less I had to see her, the better. But not tonight. Tonight she was waiting for me in the kitchen when I walked in. I tried to just walk right past her, but she lightly grabbed my hand. And then she asked me, for the first time since this entire nightmare started, "Is this how you're going to treat me? Just because I'm not ready to talk to you about my affair?" That single sentence was the first time she had even acknowledged the cheating in almost a month. And it broke something in me. At first, I tried. I really did. I told myself to just walk away, keep my composure, stay in control. But the girls weren't home, and all of the rage, the pain, the betrayal that I'd been bottling up just boiled over. I unleashed everything I had been carrying. I don't even know how long it lasted, I lost all sense of time. I raised my voice, I got animated, I cried, I raged. Every ounce of hurt, every nightmare, every "why wasn't I enough," came pouring out. I told her how broken I am, how much agony I'm in every single day, how hard I've fought to hold it together for the girls, how much I hate myself for not seeing it sooner. It was raw, ugly, and messy. And once I started, I couldn't stop. And for the first time, she finally broke too. She started sobbing uncontrollably. Kept mumbling, I'm so sorry," over and over. And I'll be honest, seeing her finally break down made me feel something I wish it hadn't. Relief. Satisfaction. Like finally, after all this silence and stonewalling, there was proof she still had a shred of humanity left in there. That maybe she actually felt guilty. But instead of letting her talk, I left the kitchen before she could compose herself. I told her to leave me alone. She lingered around for a while, then eventually packed up and went back to her sister's again. When the girls got home about half an hour later, they could tell something had happened. But I wasn't about to dump all of that on them. The 2 youngest are finally starting to stabilize, and my oldest has enough anger toward her mom without me adding more fuel to the fire. So I kept it to myself. Now I'm sitting here replaying it all, hating myself. I'd been doing so well. Keeping it civil, keeping it cold, keeping it controlled. And then I exploded. I should have held it together. I should have walked away. I let her pull me into her orbit again. The worst part? I caught myself worrying about her. She's been isolated. Everyone has turned their back on her. She's alone with her thoughts, and yeah, while she deserves to face the fallout of her choices, she's still the mother of my kids. Still a human being. The thought of her doing something to hurt herself does scare me, even if she's the one who blew up our lives. So here I am, beating myself up for snapping, while also feeling a twisted bit of relief that I finally let it out. I called my brother and ranted to him after, but honestly, this community feels like my lifeline right now. Do I text her? Do I leave it alone? Was my explosion a mistake, or was it necessary? I don't know anymore. I'm so damn tired. On the bright side, the girls and I have started therapy. That's something. But this is the hardest thing I've ever been through, and some days it feels impossible. 6th update. This week has been hell. Honestly, worse than any so far. My wife has been all over me, overly nice, constantly apologizing, crying, trying to get close, trying to touch me. At night, she knocks on my door wanting to talk. Sometimes I ignore her, sometimes I don't. By Wednesday I snapped and told her flat out to leave me alone. But then last night, it finally happened. She came into my room after the girls were asleep, asked if we could talk. I resisted at first, but eventually I gave in. We ended up in the garage, sitting in my car for almost 3 hours. She finally confessed. According to her, the affair started about 5 years ago. Her sister introduced her to him, long before COVID, with no romantic intentions, just networking. He was a higher up at the company she wanted to work for, where she works now. At first it was just career stuff, then he started flirting, then texting, then pictures, then it turned physical. She told her sister and apparently wanted to confess to me at one point, but buried it. Said she ended it multiple times but always went back. In reality, it never stopped. COVID slowed it down, but once restrictions lifted, it was full throttle again. She even brought me a 5-page handwritten timeline of everything. Every lie she told. Every weekend trip she took with the girls. Every traffic jam. Every work trip. Every excuse that was just a cover for him. And hearing it gutted me. It didn't bring me closure. It didn't make me feel better. It made me feel worse. Because she had lied so seamlessly, so convincingly, and I never questioned her. She admitted she fell in love with him. Said she fantasized about leaving her family for him, about a life where she didn't have responsibilities. He was older, divorced, wealthy. Promised her vacations, expensive things, freedom. She said she was bored of family life and the thrill of being with him was too much to resist. And then, after reading her confession, after admitting she lied to me for years, after telling me she loved another man, she turned to me, sobbing, and said, "I've always loved you. I love you now. I'll do anything to save this marriage." And all I could think was, this feels rehearsed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's finally telling the truth. But I've been with this woman for more than half my life, and I know when she's full of it. And my gut tells me this was a performance. I held it together better than I did last week, but I still got some shots in. I even told her that her affair partner was seeing other women too, that she was just one of many, disposable like the rest. That one hit her. And yet, I still don't know where this leaves me. I wish I could say the storm was over, but it wasn't. I kept replaying the questions I wanted to ask her, all the words I could have used to hurt her back, all the things that could have made her feel a fraction of what I'd felt. And yet, when it came down to the one question I absolutely knew I needed to ask, if her affair partner were still alive, and she had to choose between him and me, who would she pick? She hesitated. At first, she mumbled that it wasn't fair. I pressed. And eventually, she said, "Of course I'd pick you." That hesitation, that tiny pause, was everything. That was the reason for the divorce. That split-second hesitation told me that even now, after all of this, she wasn't fully honest with me. I told her we were divorcing. I reminded her of our responsibility to the girls, that we needed to stay civil, to be present in their lives. I told her I hoped she was good enough to do this fairly, to show that she could still love me in some sense, even if we were ending everything. And then, to close it all, I leaned over, kissed her forehead, and said the only thing I could mean with absolute honesty: I would have loved you forever. And then I got out of the car and went to bed. That was it. I didn't sleep that night. I can't sleep tonight. The house is too silent. The weight of the past month has finally caught up with me. Her opportunity to contest the divorce has passed, at least that's one small relief. But I haven't spoken to my lawyer yet. I've been crying. Sinking back into waves of sadness, anger, and disbelief. Hearing the truth from her, all of it, was worse than anything I imagined. I could have done without it entirely. I even considered that maybe she fabricated parts of it for some unknown reason, but it fits perfectly with everything I've pieced together over the past month. This saga has been a cruel cycle, a few good days, a glimmer of strength, and then a new twist that knocks the wind out of me. It feels like months and days are passing at the same time. And yet, I try to sleep. I try to survive. Imagine this: the only woman I ever loved, the one I kissed for the first time as a teenager, the one I built a life with, tells you she cheated on you for over 4 years because she was bored. Nothing else. No dead bedroom, no growing apart, no falling out of love. Just boredom. I don't know if that makes it worse or better. And then, suddenly, she's gone. My wife passed away about a month after my last update. The support from strangers on Reddit, friends, family, it's been overwhelming. People offered prayers, advice, encouragement. And then, one day, silence. The house is so quiet, a void where her presence used to be. I feel like Andy Dufresne standing in the path of a tornado, just hoping the storm will finally end. There's an absence here, a crater where my soul used to thrive. Despite my best efforts, I can no longer hold up the strong face for the girls. I can barely get out of bed in the morning. And yet, I do, because they need me. I replay our last conversation endlessly. I regret every word I said, wishing I could take something back, say something different. The last thing I told her was that I loved her, that I always would, but that I wished I never had to see her again. I was hurt, vulnerable, exhausted. The girls are holding up better than I expected. My oldest, ever the caretaker, watches movies with me, reminds me to eat, keeps me grounded. The younger two have resumed school, sports, and a semblance of normal life. I'm grateful for that, immensely. I find some support in my mom and brother, but every day is still a struggle. Therapy has become routine, yet I find it hard to fully engage. I try to stay strong, guided by faith, as my oldest insists, drawing on the Book of Job. But even that feels impossible some days. I want to scream, 1,000 times, it's not fair. I thought I was a good husband, a moral man, a faithful father. But life dealt me a hand that has left me feeling weak, empty, pathetic. I keep reminding myself, she caused the upheaval. I did nothing wrong. I've done my best to navigate the aftermath with grace. I'm the stable parent for the kids. Yet grief, guilt, and anger gnaw at me relentlessly. The last few months have been a blur of lies, betrayal, heartbreak, cohabitation, confrontations, tears, and confessions. And now, the finality of her absence leaves me in this void, haunted by what-ifs and replaying every painful moment. Advice I've received resonates: focus on the kids, be present, volunteer, help others, channel your pain into something meaningful. I try. I hope that by lifting others, I can lift myself. I don't know how the next chapter will look. But I know this, I'll keep going, for my daughters. I'll keep trying to find love, forgiveness, and peace in some form. One day, maybe, the storm will finally subside. For now, I just keep moving forward.